Hello, my loves. Well, I thought I'd do this response video or reaction video to the return of Paula Bennie. She was on Sammy Lee's channel. Now, I was going to play clips from it, but I can't be bothered because, when you start playing clips from an interview, you're only going to be choosing clips that agree with what you're saying. And you won't leave out the things where it might argue against what you're saying. So I'm just going to this is my opinion. This is my reaction to what I heard. Some of it will be good, some will be very critical. Because people know I'm not a fan of Paula Bennie. I'm certainly not a fan of hers. And I've made this vocal before. But I'm not going to use this to cut into it. Because some of it was very revealing and very interesting, and things that were hidden in the background that people didn't know was going on have been revealed now, and it's good that they have been revealed. But am I convinced that she's wanting people to leave her alone, that this is, she doesn't want all this business? No, because I think the reason she did this interview was that she's trying to get back into the drama fest. I've said this about it. I said when she first went silent when she was with Paul Ellis, I said she'll be back. She'll be back. Now Paula's gone. She's back. And I predicted that. So that's the first negative thing I said. And it's the same old Paula. Same old Paula. When Sammy Lee tries to talk or say something, Paula's not interested. She just railroads or talks over it. Sammy Lee has to struggle to get it said, and Paula just lets it go over her head because Paula's only interested in one thing, Paula, and talking about herself. And she's a wonderful, strong woman. She helps other women. She's brilliant. She's a warrior, blah, blah, blah. It comes out as that. There's no change there. She's still this opinionated victim mindset, but she's not a victim, if you know what I mean. But definitely her excuse that she's done this that she needs to get it out there, I'm not convinced by, because if she was that traumatized and terrified, she wouldn't be taking the chance to stir things up, and she is sort of in parts stirring the pot or poking the hornet's nest again. In parts she is. Other parts were very good and revealing. Let's get on to the good parts so it's not all negative. She revealed the reason why she challenged what's his name? I've forgotten it. Terry Fielding. Why she challenged him and said about him not being able to see his kids. What people didn't know at the time was, according to Paula, this is, and I can't see why she'd lie about it, he doxed her new address. She'd had to move and he doxed her address, so she was fuming, and that's why she went on there and said that, because she was annoyed with him. Another very interesting one, was she revealed that Maria Howard, out of spite, and it sounds like pure out of spite, reported her to the social services. Now, I've heard about this, about Maria Howard before, from a couple of people, that she reports people to the social services. She goes that low, and it caused havoc for Paula. According to Paula, what happened was, Maria Howard wanted Paula to get a serious law check done on Tony Burkett because Paula was going out with his best friend, Paul Ellis. Well, as Paula found out, she couldn't get one because, according to her, Tony Burkett wasn't calling into her house. So, as the social services and the police said, you can't get a sales law check done because he's not actually coming to your house, associating with you. And that infuriated Maria Howard, and Stacey Deadbeat Moments put evidence up where Maria Howard has admitted she did get in touch with the social service about it. Now, that hasn't surprised me, as I say, and it's disgusting. No matter how much I dislike someone, and no matter how much I really hate them, I would never, ever, ever report them to the social services. I'd rather report them to the police if they did something that really annoyed me than report them to social services. And I'll tell you why. That's punishing the children. And I've seen the damage. Sometimes the social services can be brilliant, but I've seen the damage that they can cause in families as well. They can cause real damage. And so I have never, and I can put my hand on heart, promise you this, I have never once ever reported anyone to the social service, and never would. And I could easily report Maria Howe to the social service with the threat she gave me. Easily I could, but I wouldn't stoop as low as she does. But it's just trying to destroy a family. So it was interesting that Paula came out with that. But one thing that she slipped up on with this Tony Baker thing was she then goes on to say that Tony Baker did call in the house at one point. Now, where this is significant, what Paula is doing also, she's forgetting the past. She's saying that, you know, she won't believe that Tony Baker is a danger to children until she sees the evidence. Well, that's a new line, because when I was talking to Paula, she was definitely convinced, and she actually said on podcast, she's forgetting this. She not only said Tony Baker was a danger to women and children, she said Paul Ellis was. That's why everyone was shocked when she got with Paul Ellis, because she was the one that was accusing the two of them of being a danger to women and children. And I'm pretty sure she was the first one that did it. Because she's right to point out as well that Maria Howard was a Tony Baker fan when other people were asking questions about him. And I remember that because me and Paula had a conversation behind the scenes, and I said, Maria Howard is telling people that it's okay to donate money to Tony Baker. There's no harm in it. Why shouldn't he get money? Now, me and Paula knew at that time that Maria was giving us a different view of Tony Baker. She wasn't saying that she liked him when she was contacting us. And this is another thing about Maria Howard. She's sly. She's shady. She will say one thing in public, then behind the scenes she'll be saying other stuff. She's trying to stir up trouble. And that's why I keep well away from her, and she'll never get in with me again. Though she wasn't really in with me, I was always wary of her from day one. But I'd never communicate with her or anything, because she really is. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's got to get into other people's lives. Maybe her own life is so rubbish. She's got to stir up trouble. And as I say, she'll be saying one thing in the background, then saying another thing in public. And that's why I blocked first time. I blocked Maria. And I told Maria this. I'm not saying that Maria didn't have me saying right to her on, I don't know whether it might have been Instagram or Facebook. Instagram, I think it was. I told her all this. So it's going to be no new news to her, because I told her straight. So let's get on to what else was said. One thing that was said, which I'm going to pull her up on here, because she didn't tell the full truth. She reveals that I asked her to do a Clare's Law check on Chris Hartley, who I call Chris Norman Bates Hartley. Of course I did, because the man was stalking me and everything. Then she says in the next sentence, but I've never been in a relationship with him, and he's never been near me kids. And there's Anne trying to use me kids. Wait a minute, Paula, if you hear this. Sorry, wait a minute. Clare's Law isn't about kids. If I wanted to find out if there was anything on Chris Hartley about kids, I would have said a Sayers Law, not a Clare's Law. So she tried to twist it there. And seeing as we're being honest and putting things on Front Street, right? See, this is what I mean. She's making out she doesn't want any drama. She doesn't want any trouble. She's at, right, yet she's doing things like this to antagonize people. Let's put it on Front Street now. Who was the one that gave me the communications between Chris Hartley and that woman he was stalking? It was you. Who put me in contact with her and told her to contact me? It was you. Who put Chris Hartley's phone number out there? It was you. Let's put that on Front Street. And then what happened was you got with Paul Ellis. And that's what caused the shock to everyone. And I tell you why it caused a shock to everyone. Because, as I say, you were the one who put it out there that Tony Beckett and Paul Ellis, you include him with a danger to children, then suddenly he's in your bed. That's why people try, and it all seemed to be designed so you could stir up so much drama. You couldn't have picked a more guaranteed drama magnet than doing that, picking on Paul. Out of all the people, you had to go to him, and it's obvious, and I'll guarantee you, you were the one that went to him, and you were the one that started putting out the feelers to him. Because I'm sorry, Paula, that's what you do, and you're paying for it. You go out putting the feelers to men. You're an adult, you can do it. Nothing. If a man does it, it's considered a good thing. So if a woman does it, it's not a bad thing either. It's not a bad thing just because a woman's doing it. But be honest about this. Be honest about it. You couldn't have picked a more obvious man that was going to bring drama to your door. So this crap that you didn't ask for any of this is a load of rubbish. A lot of the time, I'm not defending what happened to you. I'll never defend what happened to you. It went way, way too far. Way, way, way too far what happened to you. But the fact is, you did come across as relishing in it at the time. Perfect example. You can't get away from, and you have to admit to the fact that when the house was graffitied, you decided to put a picture out there, photograph of yourself, joking about it. Now, I said to you at the time, do you remember we were talking at the time, and I was telling you, well, I said, if you go to the police, I said, it has to be because you're distressed and alarmed by what's happened. And I'm giving you sympathy, and you're reporting it to the police. And then I see that. What did I say to you, Paula, straight away? What did I say to you? I said, that's it. You might as well tear up your statement, because you've got to be distressed and alarmed. And I said, if they see you putting out their funny photos, acting up, thinking it's funny, I said, guess what? I said, they're going to just tear your statement up and say, sorry, you weren't that distressed and alarmed, so we can't do anything about it. And also, you said, didn't you? And you said again to Sammy Lee, you know, I was saying to him, bring it on, bring it on. Well, I'm sorry, you can't go to the police and saying that you're upset, life's being destroyed, you're scared, and then say online, bring it on. You just don't do that. You don't do it at all. And that's where, as I say, you're not revealing that side of it. It's all Paul led the victim. Yeah, you're all a victim in a lot of ways. And as I say again, what happened to you is out of order. It was criminal actions, but you did act in a way that seemed to be saying, bring it on. I say, couldn't have gone with a more guaranteed flare up than pick on Paul Ellis. And I'll swear that that's why you did it. Just so you could get the drama going. And let's quickly touch on Paul Ellis. You turned around and said, which I think shows up your own personality and what you're all about. You say in one point to Sammy Lee that the fact is he's in prison doesn't affect you either way, and that he's gone. Doesn't affect you either way. In other words, you couldn't give a damn. You couldn't care less. You're putting your children first, blah, 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 blah. That's the man you professed love to. That's the man you actually did put before your kids. Just let me play you this, people.
I don't care what people think of me. What I care about is what my kids think about me, and especially Paul.
Now, I pulled Paula up on this at the time. She'd only been going with Paul Ellis for a few weeks at the time. And if you see, she says, especially Paul. She says, the opinion of her kids matter. And then she says, especially Paul. Now, you can't take that any other way. She's putting Paul as a priority. What he thinks. Now, this is a man she didn't know from Adam, really. She didn't. She just got with him. Put the feelers out. I'm telling you, she would have been putting the feelers out there. Got him into her life. She had him right in that house, right in a bed, no concern about her kids, which she professes that they come first and everything. And there you hear her saying that the man who was new to her, his opinion is special, especially special above anyone else's. So that's where you see the truth, not this now that you're getting out that she couldn't really give a rat's tiny one about the love of her life, Paul Ellis, who she reckons her children loved. But now he's in prison, she couldn't give a damn. And it's telling that now he is in prison, she suddenly comes out and makes all these statements, which I'm not one bit convinced that she's doing this just to settle the record. She's golden, people. She's, as I say, she's poking the hornet's nest. Also, and this is one of the things that really alerted me to Paula and made me want to block her and stop talking to her. This was the start of the real doubts about her. I set up an interview between her and Humble Dryer to settle the differences. I'll put a link to it. Now, she says to Sammy Lee that I told her to go and contact Humble Dryer behind the scenes. Maybe I did. I can't remember saying that. Source out behind the scenes. Because one thing I learned about Humble Dryer is if you've got any gripes, if you've got anything to discuss with them, go to him in private and discuss it. If you put it out there, I said this to Emma Cockrell, if you put it out there in the public, you're just putting you're putting the red flag up to a bull. It'll come for you. It'll come right for you if you do that. Go and source out behind the scenes, and it will be sourced out and kept behind the scenes. So I might have said that to Paula, but I can't remember saying it. But anyway, we did this trying to smooth things over. And during the live, Paula came across as the better person. She really did. Where Humble Dryer was all the time trying to rake up the past. And I said, no, you're smoothing things out. You don't go on about the past all the time if you're smoothing things out. Paula was keeping to the aim to try and get things resolved. And it was all resolved really well. The both of them went away fine, happy. Humble Dryer never mentioned her. Next thing, it was only a few days later. What's Paula doing? She's on one of these, like cesspit things. I don't know whether it's cesspit. Giving out about Humble Dryer again, going on, doing what she's doing to Sammy Lee in this railroad. Now, no one has a chance to get anything in. She's got to make her statements because it's all about her. And just absolutely trashed what we've done. And she had no reason to do it. Absolutely no reason to trash that. So then I knew, and I started realising this woman is after drama, which is exactly what I was getting told. She loves stirring up drama. So that's one reason why I did. I could go on more about this statement. It wasn't an interview, I say. Poor Sammy Lee didn't get a bleeding chance to say much at all. And if she did, she was talked over. But I'm not convinced that Paula has done this just to put out there what happened. I think she's wanting to cause trouble. She needs to be in the midst of drama. And of course, she had all that drama when she was with Paul Ellis. Oh God, did she have drama when she was with Paul Ellis, the love of her life. But now she couldn't give a toss now that he's in prison. That says a lot, doesn't it? But she wants everything to be normal and not tormented, but she's doing this, and you can see why she's doing it. You just have to listen to the way she's continued going on, how she fights for other women, she supports other women, she's a warrior, she's this, it's all me. I think the video that Stacey Deadbeat Mom has done sums her up, because Stacey Deadbeat Mom is a huge fan of Paula Bennie's. And if you look at it, it's just a PR job. Black and white, showing Paula in tears. I dare say what she has been through is horrible. I'm not denying that, and I'll say again, it was wrong. But this is clearly, to me, it wasn't an interview, it was a big, long statement Paula was making on Sammy Lee's channel. It's just designed to say it. I'll say it again. To stoke up trouble again and start needling people. Because at the moment, she's not getting any attention. And she will be back. She'll be back. Oh, one last thing. I think this is the only part I'll show from this video. Ooh, this is going to start causing a bit of grief.
It was in June. The social work just unannounced turned up my door. We're requesting Paul use your house. And I was like, why? It's doubts associations with Tony Burkett and Paddy Conroy.